She's a very, very good bean. She had another stem to stern trimming yesterday and behaved like a champ the whole time. Anyway, hello BookTube, and welcome back to your Daily Penguin. This is our tour through my Penguin Classic wall while it still exists. Da, da, da. Not that my love of Penguin Classics is going anywhere, but this Penguin tour has underscored. It has always meant to underscore. It's not a new thing. I've been saying it for a whole year. This tour has always meant, in one way, to show me the flab, the duplication, the excess, the dross on this wall, and it has done so. It has done so. So, and that's a lot of space. That's a whole wall. Maybe it doesn't need to be that big. Maybe just it only needs to be this one gigantic center bookcase. And maybe the flanking bookcases can be other things. Because my goal, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking about a massive reshift in books. Just massive. One that actually includes this room. And if, let's say hypothetically, I could reduce the Penguin wall to just this middle bookcase and clear up those two end bookcases. I waved my hand. That's not good. Ah! Wah! Ah! They all think you're so nice. Sorry, didn't mean to turn this into a Wes Craven film. Anyway, as I was saying, if I could clear those two flanking bookcases, and let's say I filled those with books on books, with collected reviews, essays, prefaces, that sort of thing, so that wall was books, Penguins and books on books. Well, that would free up two whole bookcases on the walls of this room, and that's a lot. That's a lot. What if I could compress all the books in the other parts of Hyde Cottage so that they would fit on those two bookcases, so that all of my books were in this room? Oh, anyway, one way or another, we are going through our Penguin wall, and because we are winding down the year, I'm indulging in theme for the month of November. I don't know how much of November. It'll be 90% of November. We're doing nonfiction in honor of Nonfiction November, a great BookTube event put on by Olive at A Book Olive and a bunch of other hosts. I will once again promise to leave all the links down below, and we'll once again forget to do that. And so we're going to concentrate on nonfiction for the rest of November. And today we are doing this: the collected speeches of Winston Churchill. This is called Blood, Toil, Tears, and Sweat, The Great Speeches. And it is the text of them, and that in itself is not noteworthy. There have been many, many, many such collections, but this is curated, as it were, edited and assembled and commented on by David Kennedy, who's one of my favorite modern historians. I have a huge number of his books. I dote on him. He is great. He has what could only be described as a soft spot for Winston Churchill. It's unaccountable to me that he's so close to being uncritical when it comes to Churchill. Maybe it has to do with his demographic. Certainly, Churchill encourages that and always did, and he always did it intentionally. No one would have been happier than him with A.J.P. Taylor's famous description of him in his gigantic history of England that gave a gigantic footnote biography of each of the main players, just who they are, when they were born, what their major distinctions were. Rather than slow down the main narrative, A.J.P. Taylor just footnoted all of that. And his footnote for Winston Churchill early on in that book did that same thing, listed all of Churchill's accomplishments, all of his offices in government and whatnot, and ended famously, there wasn't a critic in the world who didn't bring this up when it was being reviewed, ended famously by saying simply, the savior of his country. And I am no big fan of Winston Churchill, but I can certainly see how not only a whole generation of Britons could see that that was true, I can also see a way in which it is true. So maybe Canadians a blind spot when it comes to Churchill's faults, to his failings, is understandable, even in a great historian. I certainly don't begrudge him. And his writing in this volume is the reason to get it. Just amazing. Doesn't Are you trying to decide whether or not you want to bite me? Is that why your mouth is open? You can't decide. Do you want to bite me or do you want to kiss me? I don't know. You're leaving your mouth open so that you have that option. Is that what you're doing? Huh? You're leaving your mouth open in case you want to start biting me again. Oh, well, that's very nice. I have no idea how that's going to turn out. Anyway. All right, clearly this is Frieda's video, but we'll wrap it up. Anyway, your penguin today, I mean, it is a recommendation not for the speeches, but for Canadine, for his performance in this volume. His performance in this volume is amazing. If you're going to have a volume like this, you should have this one. I don't recommend the speeches because I don't recommend reading them. I recommend hearing them. In plenty of cases, including some of the most famous cases, Churchill, it didn't occur to him to waddle over to the BBC and do a recording of these things that he gave in Parliament. And he was only prevailed upon to do that years later, after the war was over. He was prevailed upon in a lot of these cases to make the recordings that are very famous today, the recordings that we think went out to a war-torn Britain when they didn't. A lot of them didn't. They were recorded in 1949. But no matter when they were recorded, it's indissoluble from the content is the delivery. So that's what I recommend for the speeches. So your Penguin Classic is a recommend, but I don't recommend encountering these speeches this way. Encounter Kennedy in this way, and his perception of the role of these speeches, the literary antecedents of them, the politics of them. There were active politics running through all of them. They were not just mere rhetoric. Definitely encounter the text that way, but encounter the speeches by hearing them. I'm sure you can hear all of these things on YouTube. YouTube is just, right now anyway, an endless bounty of stuff like that. But anyway, that's your Penguin volume for today, for Nonfiction November, the speeches of Winston Churchill. Because Penguin very often remembers its nationalist roots. So you get a volume of the speeches of Winston Churchill. You get the Domesday Book. Even though it has no literary value whatsoever, you get it because Penguin is ultimately an English company. And you also get the military dispatches of the Duke of Wellington. You get Wellington's military dispatches. Which, again, have no literary value whatsoever. They might have historical value. But I maintain that you purely get that because Penguin is rooted firmly like an English oak. And that makes me all the more mystified. It has to be copyright reasons, but that makes me all the more mystified that they don't do the first folio of William Shakespeare, that they don't do a Penguin Classic collected William Shakespeare. The greatest author of all time in any language is British, is English. And yet, there is no, as far as I know, there is no Penguin Classic collected Shakespeare, or a Penguin Classic first folio. Now, I said that another glory of the English language, Johnson's Dictionary, did not exist in a Penguin Classic, and one of you proved me wrong. You not only pointed it out to me, but you sent it to me. It's not unabridged, but it's a very good Penguin volume of Johnson's Dictionary. I don't think you're going to prove me wrong about Shakespeare. For some odd reason, that does not happen. But one way or another, I'm sure that we'll be getting to the dispatches of Wellington at some point or other in this Nonfiction November. But for now, I'm going to wrap this up. You probably want another look at the band intro, since that's been this whole video. What are they doing? Huh? What are they doing? Oh, what are they doing? You don't know whether to go to sleep or to go on the attack. You don't. I have no idea how that footage will come out. I will watch this, and if it's just a blur, then I'll refilm this. But anyway, I'm going to wrap your Daily Penguin up for today, but I will be back. Thank you, BookTube.